Pete, is that something that we could do possibly? And he's like, it doesn't really make sense, but yeah, let's do it. Welcome, Modern Talkers. This is Modern Talk. Modern Talk. Why? I know you don't know, but I haven't done this for a few weeks because of the holidays and stuff. But I'm happy to be back, and therefore we have a lot to talk about. And it's not going to be as deep, maybe, but I hope it will be, because there's so much to go over. Usually there's just a week's worth of stuff to go over, but this, it's been like a month, I think, since I recorded, which is kind of crazy. Not a full month, I don't think. Anyway, so I'm making a podcast now, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I want to catch you up on that. This is kind of reverse chronological order, just because that's how we're gonna do it. And when I got here, I was like, oh, I probably have so much written down that I could talk about. And then I had two things, and I'll read it to you right now. Cue the airplane. Making a bed. Don't know what that means. And Sheetz story with Ricky. Which all the Modern Talkers, dedicated ones, know who Ricky is. He's the co-host of this podcast who's never here, and it's sort of a running joke. I wash my sheets once a week because it's just a nice habit, I think. Then you just keep it nice. Like when I get out, I don't throw the covers everywhere. I slink it down, get my feet out, and then that's it. And then it comes back down, and it's basically where it's supposed to be. It's just not like flat and nice and perfect. And the roof is creaking especially a lot today, which is great. I love that. I don't know why that is. I don't know how to stop it unless we get a new roof, or we soundproof from the inside, which, either of those things will never happen. So I don't know what that's about. It's like an aluminum roof or something. I think that might be part of it. I don't know. I wanted to address, because I didn't write it down, that kickball last night, because another plane, dude. So much noises. So annoying. Kickball last night, we played the best team and then like the top 2 or 3 team. And it was a massacre, but we didn't play like super poorly. It was pretty wet out there, so that was, I think, part of it. But they played in the same conditions, but and like the best team that we played was the undefeated 6-0. Well, now 8-0, or yeah, probably. And if you don't lose a game in a season, you need to go to the league above, because we're on like the B or C, class or whatever. So if you don't lose, you have to go up. Like that should just be a rule. And if you lose every game in the top 1, you're allowed to go down. But I don't know, it just seems really, really cut and dry to me. We played the like top 3 team or whatever first. They won all but 2 games, I'm pretty sure. So I lead off, and I kicked it. It wasn't an especially crazy kick, but it was, like I said, especially wet. So I told our guys, like, hey, and girls, it's wet, so like take advantage of that. Let's be the team to to take advantage of that and not like make excuses and be losers about it. So I think that's a big thing with like our team is we have like a loser's mentality. Like there are a couple calls that were close and we didn't get them. Not that that would have affected the outcome of the game at all, but they're like, oh, and like I know at least one of them was the correct call, you know, like from what I saw, it was the correct call. And I like to think I'm unbiased, you know, because I don't really care. That's like out of my, if you didn't make it, you didn't make it. What are you gonna do? So, and that's something that I thought of, but I didn't like have the courage or whatever to say to the team is like, we know this is gonna be a really hard 2 games because we play 2 games in a row, but only focus on what you can control, play the best that you can, and if they play better, then so be it. But just do the best that you can, and the rest like takes care of itself. It's none of your concern, really. So that's a life lesson. But the first game, my first at bat, and since I lead off, I was the first person. I kicked it, and like I said, it was wet, so the guy didn't catch it, but he probably should have. And then, but like it bounced off of him weird, and so I just ran all the way around the bases and got an inside the park home run. And that was the only run that we scored, I think, all night. So it was really peaked really early and then just straight down. And after it happened, I was like, oh, cool, like that'll set the tone. Hopefully people won't be like losers about everything now. But we still were, so that's good. I don't know how to fix that. Like, I stay positive, but people are still negative, and like I want my positivity to be infectious, but sometimes I think it's like people need to balance it with negativity or whatever. But if anything, I feel like I'm balancing the negativity with positivity, because I could be negative. I love being negative more than I should, and but I feel like I'm the I don't know what to call it, like I'm the balloon in if there's like a hole, I'm a balloon. So like if there's a hole for negativity, I'll blow up the balloon and fill that space. I don't know if this is even making sense, but I'm trying to think of a different analogy. But so I could fill any role, I feel like, but I feel like there's space for the positive good guy or whatever, so I'm filling that space. But I could definitely be like the Joker, where it's like chaotic evil or whatever. I could totally do that, because I'm versatile, you know. But the team obviously needs an MVP stud, positive person, so that's who I am. And I really like being, it's fun because I keep thinking like, man, it would be cool to be on a team that was competitive every game. And like, I think, you know, we have a chance to win every game just because it's kickball and like there's so many stupid things that could happen. So I think any game is kind of a coin flip, if you always stay focused and locked in. But I think about, oh, that'd be cool to play on a team where everyone's like almost as good or as good as me. But then I'd miss being like the superstar hero that I am right now. So I don't know. Yeah, I just think about that a lot. It's nice to like, everyone's like, oh, he's the man. You know, it's all good. We have Tommy on our team. We'll always like throw a couple punches as long as Tommy's on our team. And that feels good. And dude, I play left field, and I think I talked about how I hated being an outfielder, but I basically have like the whole left side of the field is mine. uh, like you can't, like I said, your only thing in the outfield for kickball is to not let it get past you. So what I did actually last game, it bounced way higher than I ever thought it could, and it actually went over me. I jumped and I missed it, and so I ran to get it, and because I ran to it fast because I thought I could maybe catch it, but then I realized I couldn't, so I slowed down, and then when it slowed down, it went over me, and when I went to run to get it, I knew what I was gonna do before I touched it, which is a thing that sometimes I don't do, but everyone needs to do, and that's another life lesson. Like, know what you're gonna do with the ball before you touch it. So as soon as I grabbed the ball, I turned around and threw it to first or third, and it was a laser, and I like didn't think about how to throw it. Sometimes like I have to be like, okay, you have to shot put it because it's a kickball. You have to like push it more than throw it. And I threw a dart, and the third baseman woman caught it, and then threw the person who was coming to third out. And so that was really cool. So it was like no harm, no foul, but I did let it get behind me. But like if it's in the air for like 3 or more seconds, I feel like I could catch any ball on my side of the field. And that feels really good to like be that for your team to lock down a whole side of the field. And then I'm also backup for third base a lot, which any left fielder should do in my opinion or whatever. But yeah, so that's all I think I want to talk about with that. I'm excited to play again already. So the Sheetz story with Ricky is I feel bad because I don't remember it like specifically beat by beat, but we went to Sheetz. Spoiler alert, because that's the title of the story right now, is Sheetz story with Ricky. Actually, Riggy is how I wrote it because that's a version of Ricky that I call him. Anyway, this podcast is so silly, dude. So we went to Sheetz because he wanted something, and when we got there, it was like packed. There was like only one, and it's like the local Sheetz that I grew up on and stuff. So it's like has a special place in my heart, whatever. And they changed it so much, obviously, already, which is crazy. And that's just how life is and stuff. But this was over the Christmas break, and there so many people, and Ricky was like, oh, I don't know about this, man, like there's too many people and it's gonna be anxiety and all that stuff. And I was like, dude, you can't let this run your life. Like, it was so much better in the moment, because it was like relevant to what we were talking about, and like he needs to stand up for himself more. He's learning, so I was like, dude, this is good practice for like taking control of your life. Like you can't control how many people are here, but you can control what you want to get and how to get it. And what you want to get is, bubble gum or whatever it was. And it's probably beer. So he was like, no, man, let's just go somewhere else. Well, let's whip the Mickey's or something, McDonald's. And I have to translate for you guys. And so I was like, no, dude, like I went into coach mode, like kickball mode. And I was like, no, dude, we're going in and we're going to get your stuff and it's going to be good. You're going to be glad you did it. you know, we'll talk to some girls, whatever, because there were like a bunch of girls in there. And then he was still like, no. And not that I feel like I have to address, not that like we would ever talk to girls or have ever talked to girls, but I just thought it might be motivating or whatever. And I got out of the car and he was still in the car, and it was freezing because it was Pittsburgh in, December. And he's like, no, man. And I like basically forced him to come out. And then he was like definitely like guarded the whole time he was in there. But after that, like, oh, that was amazing. I can't believe we did that. Like, it's so sad because it's such a low bar. But I was really proud of him, and I hope that helps him going into the future. Like, he'll remember that moment, and he'll have old Rom in his head. He's Tick, I'm Rom, Rick and Tom, Tick and Rom. Have old Rom in his head telling him, you need to conquer your fears, take control of your life, let's go. So I felt like a dad, which was cool. I'm getting evicted. It's not really eviction, but it's just fun to say it like that. I have to move from where I'm living now, and it's like a very generous, what's it called, rent discount. So I don't think I could live here anywhere else unless I get another job or something. But so the long and the short of it is I think I'm going to be moving somewhere else. I don't know if that's going to be back home, which I don't want to do because that feels like I'm going backwards in my life. But money-wise, I might have to do that. And I could stay here somehow, like I said, by getting another job or asking for raises in my other jobs, or some other third option that I don't know about. Or I could go to a new city and just like really try it out. But I'd have to get a job obviously there first. But it's exciting. I'm actually glad that the person I'm living with is kicking me out, because it's giving me a great excuse to do something with my life. Like, this is great. I love this. Like, doing this every week, working on the podcast all the time, and then doing kickball and stupid stuff. Like, it's pretty awesome. I love it a lot, but it's not propelling me forward, I don't think. And I think this will be a good excuse to do something. So that's obviously heavy on my mind. And so I have to like redo my resume, all that stuff, and apply to a bunch of different places. Oh, and it was so cute, dude. I need Pete to send this to me, but so I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but not that much ahead. But Pete, Ben, and I, so the Triarchs is what we call ourselves. It's like a monarchy with 3 people. We hung out at Pete's house. Ben was off that week because it was like right after New Year's, and so we got to hang out together. And Pete made a PowerPoint of why we should all live in Lynchburg together, and it was so cute, dude. And it made me so happy, and it touched my heart, and it made me feel like, wow, I have good friends. And that's another one where I don't know if it'll propel me forward a super amount, but if I get the right job, like, I would love to move there just to be with Pete and stuff all the time. And not all the time, but have the option to hang out with him a lot, which I hope would happen if we do that. But he has a girlfriend and stuff, and I want to work, a lot still. But I'm afraid if I go there, I just want to hang out with him all the time and not do work, which is what happened when we were roommates, which was like a completely different time in both of our lives, so that probably wouldn't happen again. and we wouldn't live together. Like I would have my own place. But anyway, so that was really cute. So Lynchburg is like kind of my number one option right now if I can find a good enough job. And then after that, I guess number two would be any other place that I could get a job that would sustain. I'm open to any city, really. Like, if I think it's a good job and it can propel me into a better like career path or whatever, I'm good with it. Like Tulsa, Oklahoma, sure, whatever. Arizona, cool. It's hot. Snakes, that'll be fun. Idaho, seems like nothing's there probably, but I'm open to anything. But on my second most probable option is home for a little bit until I can save enough money, and then again, it just feels like I'm going backwards, but sometimes you have to go backwards to go forward. So a big part of my life so far is trying to get back to normal because I was gone for like 2.5 weeks or something. I had a get right day where I did all my laundry. I cleaned up because there was stuff everywhere because I had new stuff from Christmas and old stuff that I didn't want anymore. And my sleep schedule was all messed up because I was staying up late with friends and then getting up late because I was staying up late. And so I got into this bad routine, and you know, I would do it the exact same way, I think, but now it's just, you know, now that it's back to normal, I need to get back into waking up at 6 every day and doing stuff like that. But I feel like I'm still catching up. I think it's only the first week of what day is it? Yeah, it's January 11th. Okay, so way ahead of where I thought it was. I thought it was like January 6th. But I feel like I'm still catching up on my sleep from the two weeks of party time. So I'm still not fully back to the way I was before I left. I re-fell in love with pickleball. I love pickleball. It's so fun. If you don't know, it's like it's a cross between tennis and ping pong. So it's a little bit smaller than a tennis court and a lot bigger than a ping pong table. But it's kind of like, the game is kind of like you're standing on the ping pong table. And I'm really good at it, and it's really fun. And of course I'm good at it, dude. Oh, I'm good at it.
Did you get that?
It like keeps me active more and excuse to hang out with people. And it's just fun, dude. What ignited that was Pete did it with his dad, and he was like, felt like he was pretty good. And when the Triarchs came together, he brought his pickleball stuff, and he's like, oh, we should play pickleball. I fell in love with it, and I was like, of course. I used to play during the pandemic a lot, and then I moved away, so then I didn't play it ever. But I had my paddles with me just in case it would ever happen. And finally, it was worth it to bring the paddles because now I'm playing all the time. And what was I gonna say? Shoot! Oh, so Pete and Ben and I played a bunch over those few days that we were together, and I was clearly the best. I only lost once, and we played for like hours and hours and hours. Like, if I had to guess, at least 4 hours. At least. I think it's very safe to say. You know, I don't flimsy up the numbers, but I think it's safe to say at least 5 hours. Yeah, I didn't lose playing all those except once, and it was, of course, the last game. So I ended on a loss, so that felt really gross. But it was like, we were running out of time, and I didn't want to be like, no, we need to play one more time just because I can't lose. And, you know, you got to give them one every once in a while anyway. So Pete was like, that's awesome because it makes me feel like not a total loser, even though I lost almost every time. So it's kind of a win-win, whatever. Ben still didn't beat me, of course, but no, he's good too. But Pete's like a beast at ping pong, and Ben's better at ping pong than me. But I'm so lanky and long that and agile that I'm better. That's why I'm better, I think, at pickleball. And so I asked everyone from, I think it was like the day of or the next day that I got back from. No, it was like 2 days later. I got back from Pete's after playing a bunch with them. I asked everyone from kickball. I was like, these people are into weird like sports. Kickball and pickleball are both like really weird fringe sports. So most likely, and it's like not super high octane or like demands super fit people or whatever. These two would probably line up, like the demographic, what is this called, Venn diagram? I had a hair in my hand. The Venn diagram of pickleball and kickball, you'd think it would be a heavy overlap, but I gave them the same day notice. So like I was like, hey, later today we're gonna go, and by we I meant me, and I was hoping other people would come. But so we did that. I texted everyone individually because if you do the group text, no one texts back. But if you do the specific text, then people text back and stuff. So, and all of them said I couldn't do it. So that was good. So only one person ended up coming, and she had never done it before. So it was obviously way better than her. And so we played one-on-one for a little bit, and then we saw people like hanging out by the next court and just standing there, and we were like, hey, do you guys want to join in? We'll do 4-on-4. Like, I know you're waiting for something, but like we'll just play until you're ready. And they're like, no, that's okay. And we're like, okay, like why would you not do that? There's like literally no downside. It's not like we're making you sign a contract to play for, you know, an hour together with us. Like, you're literally just standing there. It's either standing there or playing with us. Like, it's so weird. So we're like, okay. And then we just kept on playing. And then like, actually, we're part of a pickleball league. But if you want to join, you can. And we were like, yeah. I mean, it's better than just, you know, playing with each other. And one-on-one, where I'm way better. I'm not as good as I'm saying I am. Like, I'm pretty good, but like I'm not saying like I never get a point on me or whatever. But so so stupid talking about pickleball so much and kickball every week. So funny, dude. Oh my gosh, what is my life? But I'm not gonna be able to do this. Like, once I move, like, none of this stuff is gonna happen. It's so sad. So I'll talk about something else stupid. So they're like, yeah, it's a $5 drop in, and then if you guys want to be members, that $5 goes toward the membership, which is another $5, and you're like a full member, and you can play for 3 months or something. And we're like, that's a pretty good deal. Let's do that. And so I'm part of the Grand Strand Pickleball community, which is such a bad name, obviously. But it's like GSPC, like it's just ugly. Anyways, you know, I didn't join because of the name. And so we played. It's a round robin thing where everyone plays with everyone once, and then at the end, they call it the big pickler of the week, who won the most games that week, and I didn't win because, you know, it's double, so you can't you can't be everywhere all at once. Anyway, so, and plus, obviously, well, I was gonna say, some of the people I feel like are better than me, but that's like, I'm thinking like it's 2-on-1, but maybe 1-on-1 would be better. Anyway, who cares? Where am I? Who am I? What am I doing with my life? Oh geez, the big question. Where am I gonna live? Anyway, so we did that, and that was fun. And then I think I talked about, home group. The home group had a holiday party, which was really cool. Oh, I should talk about that, dude. So they're doing a holiday party, which was everyone bring a food that's related to a holiday. So as a joke, I said, I'll bring, for St. Patty's Day, I'll bring a bunch of beer. And it's a, Christian, whatever, church home group. So that would have been funny. And obviously didn't do that in real life, but I wrote down a bunch of other things that I could do, and I'll list them, in here, and even probably on my website, TommyWaite.com/podcast, and then this episode name or whatever is how you find all that stuff, if you're interested in that. Anyway, so I put a lot of work into that, and it feels like no one looks at it or like watches it or anything. So so if you do listen to this and then want some supplemental stuff, go look on there. If I reference it, I'll probably put it up, and if I didn't put it up for some reason, you could always Google it, because that's just what I do, and then I put it there for you, for simplicity. Anyway, or if it's not Googleable, I'll definitely put it up. So I put a list of things you could bring for different holidays, and the one that was simplest and easiest for me to do was it's actually an old joke and it's terrible, but I remember Ricky and I thought this joke was so funny in middle school. So it's so stupid. I came in with 2 pizzas, and they're like, "Oh, you brought pizza?" I was like, "Yeah, I did it for 9/11." And they're like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got 2 large planes." It still makes me laugh, dude. I know it's traumatic to people and whatever, but you gotta joke about terrible stuff, because that's what connects us and makes us feel okay about tragedy, in my opinion. And you can have your own opinion. I like to think of myself as a sensitive person, but funny first. That's what I always say. I don't think I've ever said that before, but that's a sentiment that I live by. So Pete and I went to Detroit. Why? Don't know. So we had this really weird plan. So our friend Ryan and Macy from college live there, but they already moved since we visited them, which was a week or 2 ago, and less than 2 weeks ago. So I had never been to Detroit, and I love Detroit pizza, and I was like, when am I gonna have another excuse to go to Detroit? So I was like, Pete, is that something that we could do possibly? And he's like, it doesn't really make sense, but yeah, let's do it. Because so the deal was, I came up from, this is going to be really long and confusing, and if you want to zone out, that's totally cool, but it's funny enough where I think some people will think it's funny. So I'm going to do a little map, and it might be backwards for you, but that's okay. So I'm in Myrtle Beach, he's in Virginia. I visited him on my way to Pittsburgh before Christmas, stayed there a few days, and then he eventually went to New Jersey So this is me and this is Pete in New Jersey. And then after Christmas, Pete came to Pittsburgh, and we took one car to Detroit, and we stayed there for 36 hours, about 2 nights, and we got there late the first night. And then we left New Year's Eve morning, went back to Pittsburgh to pick up Pete's car, and then that was around noon. We had lunch, and then we drove down to Virginia again, where Pete lives, and because his church had a New Year's Eve like thing. So we got there at 10. We showered and then went to the thing like 30 minutes before the ball drop. And then I went back down to Myrtle. So it was like a really weird trip around the continent, if you will. And it was really fun. Like, I'm glad we did it, and it was silly. And yeah, I think I'm getting ahead of myself. So that was just the overall funniness of traveling around. But so when we got to Detroit, we went to Big Boy, which is a thing there. I've never been to a Big Boy's, and I've never seen a Big Boy's in person, I don't believe. And we went to Tim Hortons a lot, because that was like a specific Michigan thing. It's like, if you don't know what it is, it's like a Dunkin' except better, in our opinion. And it's mostly in Canada, but since Detroit's so close to Canada, they just trickle down there. So, and I think they still have Dunkin's there for some reason, but I feel like if you're doing that, you might as well just have. But anyway, and then we got Detroit style pizza, which is what I wanted. And honestly, it was really good, but it wasn't better than, like, the toppings and stuff were good, but like just from like Pizza Hut, I liked it just as much, I would say, which is sad because I went, all that way to Detroit and stuff. But Ryan and Macy, our friends, are there, and we stayed at their house in a blow up air mattress. It was just really fun. And then I think that's partially why my sleep schedule didn't help, because like I didn't sleep well in an air mattress that's like a queen at the biggest, and I had to share it with my friend, which I like doing. I like sleeping with my friends. What? It's like an inside joke, whatever. But I guess I should explain it. Just Pete and I, if there's ever an occasion that it'd be better or easier if we slept together than someone sleeping on the floor, we just always slept together. And that was like a joke. And we, the first time we did that, we took our shirts off and then took a picture and then sent it to all the other friends in the house and was like, is it weird that we're naked? And we weren't really naked, but we just had our shirts off. But anyway, I don't even know what I was saying. Oh, so not only were Ryan and Macy there, Pete's girlfriend lives there, and she was there because it was Christmas, so she was just chilling at home. And so that was like another reason why to go there. So it wasn't just for pizza or just for the hilarity of it. So, and like a few days before, I got Detroit style pizza with Ricky at Caliente in Pittsburgh, and I don't know if that's a chain or not. I don't think it is, but there's a couple in Pittsburgh, and they were like voted like best pizza something, but we got the Detroit one, and that one was better than the one that I got in Detroit. And we went to one, I didn't do the research, but they told me like what the best one was, and it was Buddy's in Detroit. And I don't know if that's like just the most classic place, like, or if it's the best place. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The pizza was good, and it was really fun, just the act of going to get pizza in Detroit for Detroit Pizza with, you know, Ryan and Macy and Pete and his girlfriend, and then me by myself. Yes, dude. We went to our big event in the full day that we were there. We went to Henry Ford's Museum of American Innovation. I think that's what it's called. And so it wasn't just about like cars and stuff. It was like about American innovation and in all time. So it was really cool, and it's the biggest indoor-outdoor museum in the U.S., maybe the whole world. I don't know, but in the U.S. for sure. And it was rainy, so the outside wasn't even open, but that was, whatever. It was so big inside that you didn't need to go anywhere else. But so the three big things that we saw that were really, really cool was the Rosa Parks bus. So the bus that Rosa Parks said no to getting in the back was there, and it was like restored for some reason, like whatever, I guess. But it was really cool that you could like literally sit on the bus that happened. And they had like an old-timey diner in there that was like functioning, and I really wanted to go to that, but I knew we didn't have time for it. They had like obviously a big car section, the car Kennedy was assassinated in, allegedly, or whatever. That was really cool. So that was the second one. And then they had the chair that Lincoln was assassinated in. Like, that was the coolest, I thought. Like, that is such a part of like American history. And it was a rocking chair, I think, which was also interesting, because he was like at a play or whatever, and you don't think of rocking chairs in plays, but he was in the special suite or whatever, so I guess that makes sense. Pete, his girlfriend, Sarah, Ryan and Macy, who are married, and so they were like, obviously it was like a really cute date and stuff for them, and I was just by myself, and like, it was obviously not preferable, but it really wasn't as bad as fifth wheeling can be. They were still like inclusive and everything, and there was so much cool stuff that like, it was almost nice that I didn't have to worry about, like sometimes I went away from both of them and just like looked at what I wanted to look at. So in that way it was nice, but obviously overall it would have been nicer with someone to share it with. But they were like really touchy and cute, and at one point they're like, hey, sorry if we're like too whatever, and I was like, no, like I would be upset if you weren't touchy and cute. Like, what's the point if you have a girlfriend or a partner and you're not like all cute with them at a museum? Like, that's the whole deal. Like, that's one of the perks of being in love and everything. So, oh yeah, so we did that New Year's Eve thing at Pete's church, and it sucked, but and people probably listen to this, but it was nice. They were doing worship songs, which, I don't like that music, but it was nice that they had the screen behind them had the ball drop like live or whatever, but they didn't have any sound, and they were singing over top during the ball drop. They were like, Jesus, you are the way, Jesus, you are they just kept saying that, Jesus, you are the answer, or something. They just kept repeating that line, and over the ball drop. So that was like really anticlimactic and lame in my opinion. But I, given everything else that came along with that trip, like that was part of the Detroit trip, like I said. So, I'll take it. I'll have other New Year's Eve's, allegedly, if I don't kill myself from stress from trying to figure out where I will have to live and stuff. But afterwards, after New Year's Eve and stuff, we were like, oh, we need to like do something else, like, even though we just drove for 10 hours. No, yeah, over 10 hours. And the drive back was horrible, dude. It was raining the whole time, and it was foggy like the last 6 hours, and it was dark because we were driving all day. So it was dark, foggy, and rainy, like literally the worst three things besides black ice that could happen during driving. So that was unruly. It was really bad. But I guess we were like kind of jazzed up from it being New Year's Eve. And so we're like, well, we have to do something else. Like, what else did we do? And we wanted to go to the tea room, which is the Texas Inn or something. That's the proper way to say, or the proper name of it. But we love the tea room. It's like a diner that has like no real seats. It just has the bar seating. And it has good food, and it's really quick, and it just has a good vibe. Like, I don't know, they have breakfast stuff obviously, and burgers, like famous burgers and stuff. So yeah, we love that place. We're gonna go there, but they were closed, which I respect, because the workers want to be celebrating. So that was nice that they did that, but I obviously wanted to go there. So our only option, I think, would have been Waffle House, and that's what we did. So we went there, and there's a cool guy that was waiting on us, and like, usually you don't have cool people at Waffle House. Like, it's usually like, I want to be sensitive, but like, people that are down and out, or like trying to figure stuff out, and I'm trying to figure stuff out. So I literally thought about like working there at one point, but I was like, I don't think I super need the money, so I don't think I will. But I went to one like a while ago, like I think I was still with my ex, but they were like, hey, they like my energy or whatever, and they're like, hey, are you looking for a job? Like, we really need blah blah blah. And like, if you really need me, then I don't want to be there, because I'm gonna have to be overworked, like, if they didn't really need me, to be like, okay, we'll give you some shifts, like that's what I would like. But if they really needed me, they're gonna work me a lot and harder than I should, because of whatever. Anyway, so so that was fun, and the guy was nice, and it was a fun like first meal of the year or whatever. And as we were walking out, there was a girl alone in a black, like really nice, like cut up the leg dress, and she like came around a corner and she was laughing. So we like assumed there were other people behind her, but she like, once she turned the corner, she realized she was like laughing way too hard to be alone. So she like laughed and was like, ugh, like, I don't know, it was just a funny interaction. And then like we shared that moment, like all of us, me, Pete, and her, and like, oh yeah, it's it's funny, whatever. And then she had two other friends, both in like very similar black dresses, and we're like, oh, that's interesting, like where did they come from? Like, is there a party, like a black dress party? But there's only three of them, so it was weird. And then as you know, all Waffle Houses have like no walls, it's all windows. And so they sat down, I think, in our table, and the same guy was waiting on them. And then they were like two really old, like 60s gray, like kind of fat, balding guys. And these were girls, like attractive girls. And they walked in after the girls, and I was like, surely they're not together, because I thought they like interacted a little bit before they walked in, but I didn't know if it was like, oh, we're so funny, like we're having so much fun, haha, and then the guys like try to get in on it, and they're like, oh yeah, that's great, haha. But then the guys sat down with the three girls. There was two guys like that, and they sat down with the three girls, and we're like, there's no situation where that makes sense. Like, is it their dad? Like, I feel like their dads wouldn't look that bad, first of all, if they're like attractive girls. And then like the math, like if it was like some really weird thing where it was like a three-way date and they were like into older guys for some reason, like it was 2 and 3, so that still wouldn't make sense. There was like no scenario where that made sense, and we were like, are they being trafficked or something? Like, makes us feel uncomfortable. And like, we think that they were drunk, which, you know, everyone is that night, but whatever. And so we were like worried, like, should we like try to, and then Pete said something that made me feel a little bit better, that the waiter is like so cool that he would have, like, if he thought something was fishy, he would like probably step up and do something. But you know, it could have been nothing. It could have been like whatever, you know, it's their uncles that are really nice and sweet, and that's what it is. But it just felt like really didn't, the you know, attractive math, age math, all that didn't add up. The time of night math, you know. Anyway, so like I said, we're going in reverse order, but Christmas, Ricky hung out with my family for Christmas and ate dinner and stuff, and that was really, really fun. And I'm glad he came, because he doesn't have, like, his family doesn't do that. So it was really nice that he came, and like my family loves him, and he feels the love, and that's really nice. Yeah, we hung out a bunch over the, like, anytime I wasn't hanging out with someone, I would just hang out with him, and if someone canceled, I would hang out with him. And so we hung out like at least 4 times. Nothing like super fun necessarily, but we did, we just like would go to Sheetz and then hang out at his house and hang out at my house, and I guess that was kind of it. Well, that sounds really boring, but it was fun because it's him, and we have so much inside jokes and so much history and such a similar sense of humor that it's just like, it's the best. So and then I had lunch with Dillon. If you're a loyal listener, you know Dillon. He's in Atlanta still, and but more importantly, what I wanted to say is we went to this bar at like 2 p.m. And to eat and just hang out and talk, and it was like a pretty small bar, but it was nice. And he got this was right before Christmas, and he got I forget what it's called, but it was like some Christmassy beer, and he said it was really good. But I just think it's funny that there's like Christmas beers. But what I really want to say is we got s'more nachos, right? It's like regular, like, tortilla whatevers, chocolate drizzle on, graham cracker crumbles, and toasted marshmallows. That's all the ingredients, right? Yeah. So the actual chips were like really plain, and like I think took away from the the magic of the s'more. But I think they probably thought it'd be too sweet if they did it any other way, which, you know, if you know me, it's never too sweet. So I think instead of the graham cracker crumbles, it should have been graham crackers, like whole, and then just chocolate drizzle and then marshmallows on top. It was like mini marshmallows, but it was still really good. So I didn't even know those existed. I never saw those before, and I might not see them again, but they're like, yeah, we're just trying this out the past few months or something, which is more of a summer thing, you would think, but we had it for Christmas. And then I snuck on to apartment building rooftop. That was really fun. It was with some of my friends from home, and in Pittsburgh, downtown, there's a big light up Christmas tree, and we wanted to see that, so we parked like right next to it in a parking garage, and it was connected to a building, and we got lost, and we just went down the wrong elevator, and we ended up in this elevator. This is such a crazy story. I don't even know how to tell it exactly, but so we went in a resident only elevator. This is so crazy, like to tell it fully, like it takes a while, but it is crazy. So I don't like telling it because it sounds unbelievable, and it is unbelievable, but it did happen. And you know, I don't flimsy up the numbers. So see, that's why it's good to have that credibility with not flimsying up the numbers, because when you do tell an unbelievable story, people are like, no way, that's unbelievable. And I'm like, I know, but it happened. So people can actually believe you. But when people tell me stories, even if they are true, but they have that reputation of like, I know they really flimsy up the numbers, like then it takes me out of the story. Like I'm deciphering what is probably true about what they said, and like the underlying truth is like, you know, I'm trying to think of this guy told me a story about like how he had bad dates and stuff, and the one bad date was he went over some lady's house from Tinder, meeting for the first time. She had a pool, and he's like, oh, it was a and this could have been completely true, I don't know, but he said, oh, it was a real scorcher of a day. It was like 104 or something, and like, because that makes it more like I understand story, so when people say stuff, I understand why they say it, and like that stuff, like, so he said that to validate a better reason why he would go to some stranger's pool, and so yeah, he's a real scorcher. And so I was like, if you left that part out, that wouldn't make the story worse to me. It takes them out of the story if they flimsy up the numbers. So I feel like I'm talking so much, but I'm having a lot of fun, and I shook it, I'm sorry. So that doesn't affect the story for me unless I feel like you're lying or flimsying up the numbers. And then he went on to say blah blah blah, it went bad, and then she stormed into the house, and then she shut off all the lights, and it was pitch black, and I couldn't see and like anything, and like that couldn't have been true. Because also in the beginning he said there were when I got there were like a bunch of candles, and he didn't include the part where she blew out all the candles, so there either weren't candles or there were candles and he could see. Either way, he kind of has a reputation to flimsy up the numbers to me. So that story wasn't. So the point is, since I built up this trust with you guys, because I don't flimsy up the numbers, and you could fact check me, and you could talk to these people that went to this went on this journey with me. So there were like two places you could go down the elevator, and I chose one of them, you know, just because it seemed simpler path to get to. And when I pushed the button to go down, nothing happened, excuse me. And like, this is weird. And then, like, it must be a big building, or, you know, whatever. Someone else was on the elevator, and then finally someone came off on our floor, and so we went on. And what we realized is you need a key, because there's a public one to get off for people parking there, like who paid to park there, and then people who are also a resident of the apartment building that's connected to that parking garage is also there. So we needed like a key to push the buttons. So at first we tried to go to the bottom, and then that didn't work, and we went to the second floor, and then two girls came on, and they were confused too. They're like, we're trying to get to blah blah blah, and then somehow, so we just stayed on there, and the doors closed, and nothing moved, and they had like Chipotle or something. So I was like, oh, we're gonna all divvy this up if we're stuck on here. And so funny, dude. I should be a comedian. I am. And then and then after a few minutes, we started going up, and we're like, whoa. And we went up to like the 12th floor out of 14 or something. And when we got off, it was like a hotel / resident. We didn't fully figure out that whole thing, but so how that happened is someone on the 12th floor called the elevator, and we just happened to be on it, and I went up. And so then we got off, and like you know, we explored, and there was a whole like, what is it called, like a rec room with foosball and ping pong and a coffee maker and couches and stuff like that. And that was, we were like, we did it, like, this is hilarious, I can't believe this happened. And then they were like, oh, let's try to get to the penthouse, like we're this far, we might as well go all the way. So we're like, okay. So then we went to the stairs, and the stairs didn't go up anymore, so there's like a private stairway to get to the penthouse or whatever. We're like, oh dang, okay, let's go back on the elevator and, like, you know, try it again. Or, you know, we didn't fully understand the whole thing yet. So we hit penthouse, and we stayed there for like less than 5 minutes, and just talking and just saying like how crazy this is and stuff. And then we started going up again, and we went to the penthouse, dude. And the person who called the elevator was with his dog, and we were nervous because some penthouses, like in Mad Men, if you guys have watched that Don Draper's penthouse was like I think the elevator opened right to his living room. So we were like nervous that was gonna happen. But once I realized that it didn't, I was like, you know, in those situations, you just have to pretend that you belong, and then you all of a sudden belong. So the guy dinged it, and he looked like surprised that someone was on it. And and looking back, like, he obviously must know that we didn't belong there, because we're like, you know, 20 somethings that he's never seen before. And so I just like, okay. And then I walked in, and then I didn't know where to go, but I just kept walking. So that guy would be like, hey, you don't belong here, or whatever. And so we walked around there, and then eventually we found the door to the top of the building. And the top of the building, no crap, had a basketball court, a hot tub, like fire pits or whatever, a giant chest for whatever reason. Like, I'm sure that gets used a lot. But I was like, oh my gosh, this is there? Because this is here, this is there, because I visited my dad's work when he worked at PPG Place, which is like the big building that looks like a glass castle in, if you're not familiar with Pittsburgh, it's an Inspector Gadget. So what was I gonna say? Oh, so I was up there visiting my dad like literally almost 2 years to the day ago. No, 3 years to the day ago. And I saw that there was a basketball court on below his level. And I was like, that's so crazy that someone like literally plays basketball on top of a roof in the middle of a city. That's so crazy. And then all of a sudden, 3 years later, I was standing at it, like looking up at where I would have been. Like, that is so weird to me. Anyway, so we just like stayed up there, and it was obviously freezing because December in Pittsburgh, but it was like totally worth it and so cool. And there was like a little bit of snow up there, and we threw snow down from the top just because it was cool. And we made sure that there was nothing below us, but we wanted, it was like, I think it was 14 stories up, so we wanted to for some reason we really wanted to hear it hit the ground, and so we threw it off, and I think the snow was like too, not heavy enough, or whatever, of substance. So I think we threw a penny off, and again, we made sure there was no one below us. But it fell for so long, it felt like forever. And then finally you hear ding, 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 and we're like, oh my gosh. And like, I don't know why that was so interesting and important to us, but it was. And then we're like, okay, we've had enough. Like, I just wanted to stay there forever because so the hot tub was closed because it was December. There were no basketballs up there, so we couldn't actually play basketball, and the fireplaces weren't able to turn on. I guess I don't think I even tried, but so we literally just stood there and looked. Like, we're in the middle of the city, and you could see like the lights of Christmas, and the tree that we were talking about, you could see it from up there, and it was just like such a cool,
this is inspiring me to be a thief,
view and weird experience that like was so improbable to get to the penthouse. It's so crazy. Like, I think 3 times it had to be called for us to and us to be on it for us to get to where we were. Just absolutely insanity. So then we finally went down to the tree, which is what we wanted to do the whole time. And by then it was like 10 o'clock or something. And the tree was off, and we were like, what happened? Like, I just assumed that it would be on until dawn, like, why would you shut it off? And because there's like always people milling around in the city or whatever, and we were so bummed, and we're like, it's still beautiful. Like, obviously it's not lit up, but like it's still huge, and there's an ice rink around the tree, kind of like 30 Rock, but I think the tree is above the skating rink. But in Pittsburgh, the rink is around the Rosie, around the tree, and so we just like sat there, and the Zamboni was going on the ice. So I was like, oh, you know what? They probably just stopped it for the Zamboni. and they were like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm just trying to, have a reason for why it wouldn't be, because I can't think of any other reason." And then, lo and behold, the Zamboni goes off and the tree goes on, and we were like, "What? This is amazing!" And it was way cooler with it lit up. Like, we were trying to be like, "Oh, it's still cool, without it," but it was like immaculate with that stuff. So that was really cool. Really cool experience. It made it so much better that we were like, "Oh, you can't win them all." We just went to the top of a building, that we had no business of being on. Like, I'm cool if that's the only thing I do this whole week or whatever, even though it was Christmas that week. But then when it actually came on, it was like, oh my God, it was so cool. Yeah, that was a good night. Oh, and then one of the people that we were hanging out with has a hot tub. I don't want to flimsy up the numbers. At least, no. It was at least 1 a.m. Yeah. And we were playing 20 questions, which is such a stupid game, and we were like so tired, and like the hot tub was so hot, and we were in there for way too long, like at least 2 hours. Again, I don't like to flimsy up the numbers, but I think it was over 2 hours, but 2 hours nevertheless. But you're only supposed to be in there like 15 minutes, I think, but it was so freezing outside that it like made it more tolerable and kind of more fun, because it was like, oh, I'm so cold, oh, it's so warm, oh, it's so cold, oh, it's so warm. But toward the end, I was like almost fully sitting out to like cool down, because it was like so hot for so long. And but yeah, since we were like getting loopy because of how late it was, first of all, and being in there way too long, so like the 20 questions were getting really bad. But anyway, it's really weird, wild night. And I don't know, for some reason I just thought like we were all sober, and like you don't have to have like weird, wild, crazy nights not sober. I don't know. Maybe that's just like the puritanically-ness in me or whatever. But and then I went to the Heinz History Center with Tatum. If you guys know, loyal listeners, I only hang out with people that have done the podcast, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so that was really fun. The original reason was to go for Mr. Rogers' exhibit there, but that took like less than 10 minutes to look at, and it was honestly quite underwhelming. But I'm glad I went, but like we both love Mr. Rogers, so that was like a whole reason to hang out. And then we're like, I guess we'll just look at everything else here, because that was done in 10 minutes. And it was nice, and like, I think maybe this is too personal or something, but I think I have an insecurity that I have to have a reason to hang out with people sometimes, like especially people like Tatum, who I think are so cool, and I don't see them a lot, so it feels weird to me to just say like, hey, do you want to hang out for 4 hours or whatever it was? Like, I think that's how long we hung out. Let me double check, because you know your boy can't flimsy up anything. See, like, it's not even good to not flimsy up the number sometimes, because you just get you get in your own way. Like Rob Lowe talks about how he likes to say, don't let the facts ruin a good story or something. And like, sure, if you could tell it believably and stuff like that, go for it, I guess. and like you could flimsy up stuff, but don't like really lie. So yeah, it was 4.5 hours. And Pittsburgh's such a small kind of city that like if your parents, or especially if your grandparents are from here, that you're gonna know someone in that museum, or like, you know someone who knows someone in it for sure. So my great grandfather, his picture is in, there's like a little bocce corner, like about the history of bocce or something, and his picture is there, is what my uncle told me. So that's cool. And then Tatum knew a few people in the pictures, like there's a boxing something, and she's into boxing, and she knew one of the guys, the dad of the guy, or something. And she's a training assistant for sports teams, and which this was right before the Damar Hamlin thing. So and I asked her, this is actually really interesting to me. I asked her, I was like, do you ever get like nervous running out to people who are hurt during a game? And she's like, no, I never get nervous. Like I just, it's a job, so I just assess, and then I know what to do, and then I do it, and that's just what it is. I was like, but like, don't you feel bad? Like they're so, like I don't even looking at that when they get hurt and stuff, because like they're just laying there, like especially football, they're like huge beasts that are like have no body fat, and or like huge muscles, and also fat, and beasts are like hurt, and you need to help them, and like worse than feeling the pain of the physical pain of getting hurt, like your MCL or whatever, like this means your livelihood, like everything you've been working towards since you were a kid, you don't get to do that for 6 weeks or something. And that's like half a season if you're doing football. So yeah, like that's just a lot of emotion that you have to deal with running out. Like you have to be always on like in the game watching, and then if you see someone, you're like, is he hurt, or is he just getting up slow, and then like that whole thing just sounds like so like not a fun job. And then they saved that Damar Hamlin's life, who's from Pittsburgh, grew up like 40 minutes from me or something. I think he's a year younger, but I watched him play in person, I think at Pitt probably too, but definitely when my high school played his high school, and we beat him, whatever, but it's not the point of the story. Yeah, like she's doing really good, a really hard job, and demanding job, and I think is scary job. I guess she doesn't think it's as scary, or she's just being modest or something, but yeah, it's that's crazy to me. But so the next thing is I'm a corned beef hash-slinging slasher. I don't know if you know what corned beef hash is. I didn't care to know what it was. It always looked really gross to me. And then Pete got it at a place called Coffee Cup, with 2 Ks, in Lynchburg. And he's like, I don't know what this is. He always gets the weirdest, cheapest thing on the menu. He wants to get something more weird than it is cheap, but it always ends up being cheap because like the weird stuff is cheap. So we got corned beef hash, and I don't think he ever got it before either. And it was really good. He let me try it. I ended up having it, I wrote it down, 3 out of 5 days in a row. Oh, and then I got it again at the tea room. with the Triarchs, but it does look really gross, especially if you don't make it crispy. So so every time I'm gonna get it, if I get it again, which I will definitely, I'm gonna ask for it crispy, I think. But it's really weird looking. So that's it. I don't know how long I went, but it felt like forever. And like and subscribe. Thank you for everything you've done so far. I got a decent reaction to the Christmas stuff that I did. I might do more topical stuff like that, but it was a lot of work, and especially during Christmas time when I was trying to be more relaxed, because man, it's gonna be another 5 minutes, but I didn't realize like how much I worked until I look back. But like since the breakup, I think I've been working like a ton. Like I'm always in the office, and I rarely take a day off, like a full day off. And if I do, it's to do other stuff that's productive, like do laundry or go to Target or run other errands that I can't think of. Like right now I have clothes in my car that I want to drop off to Goodwill that I don't want or need anymore, and stuff like that. So that made me feel more okay about taking off that like 2 weeks almost or whatever. And yeah, I travel a lot. Like I'm blessed to have that option. Like I always visit Pete all the time, and I went to Detroit for no reason, and stuff like that. And actually this weekend I'm going to the mountains, like a cabin in the mountains by a lake, I think, with my Myrtle parents and my Myrtle sister and my Myrtle brother-in-law and my Myrtle nieces and nephews. So yeah, that'll be really fun. But it's definitely not financially wise to do that. But like, if I spend money on something, I want to spend money on experiences, and I can't get these experiences back, and I might leave soon. So just, I don't know, it makes more sense in a full life way than a financial way. But yeah, that's but as I was saying, like, it was because I work a lot that I feel like it's okay, even though the work that I do feels like maybe I'll tell. So yesterday I was talking to my therapist about how the podcast is, like, explaining it to someone it would be really hard, because I work on it like a crazy amount of hours, like an unnecessary amount to people would think, I guess. And it feels so silly, because it feels like I'm just like in there spinning cotton candy, like, because it's just like so nothing. Like I like to think I talk about like important stuff, like life lessons that I learned from kickball and stuff like that, and like, sure, we have fun, like I like to laugh on it too, and I hope you do too. But like, it feels like this is such a vacuum kind of thing where only a few people listen to it, and so it feels like it doesn't have any legs. Like, what's the end goal with this podcast? And I don't know, and I'm trying to figure that out. But I feel like I'm spooling like a bunch of cotton candies, and I just keep doing this, and then I drop it off on like literally everyone that follows me doorstep, and then some people eat it, some people only eat the clips of it, some people just leave it outside, and the rain disintegrates it, because it, how if you put cotton candy in water, it disintegrates. So I don't know why I brought that up. Oh, it's just funny that like, even though I work a lot, it just like feels like it's not really work because it's something I want to do. It's exactly what I want to do. But I do like work on it, and I put in a lot of time and stuff. So, hopefully, this is just part of my 10,000 hours of who knows what I need, or what this will be working towards. But maybe that's what we'll find out in the next chapter, when I move, or if I move. And well, I'll definitely move, but I guess in theory it could be somewhere still in Myrtle. Okay, that's it. Hope this made you think, and please keep in touch.
Welcome, modern talk.